Sorry, guys. I was putting in the Discord link in the chat, and that sound came out all for all of us. Um, okay, let's see. Let me see. I don't like the camera the way that it's a little too high. Okay, a little bit better. So, how are you guys doing today? Hopefully, everybody's in great spirits. AB is in tip top shape, an amazing spirit. Stayed up extremely too late last night, and oh boy, do we have a lot of things. This is going to be a very quick chat. I have a couple of appointments to go to in a couple of hours, so this won't be too long. Put it that way. Maybe 1 hour uh, at the most. But what do you guys want to start with? Uh, it's a plethora of things that we could talk about that are happening. Gloria, how are you doing today, my friend? Always lovely to see you guys. I come here mainly to see all of you guys. Um, but we have a lot to talk about. There is a lot of interesting things. Remember when I was telling you guys about what the situation with Bill Huang was? And remember when I told you that Bill Huang wasn't the only one doing what he was doing and on the market as far as playing with swaps, swapping positions, talking with each other, finding that loophole that they called the loophole out of nowhere. That wasn't a one person thing. Everybody on the street was doing it. And now there's news coming out as of today that he is actually talking and snitching on some place on some banks like Morgan Stanley, and he's snitching on other guys on the street. I mean, the breakdown on how they screwed him, because everything was amazing. The guy was not gonna get touched with what he was doing. That loophole they were talking about, everybody knows that loophole in that side. The banks knew what was going on. Um, and now he's snitching on all of them. He's snitching literally on all of them because they screwed him by he approached them, and he basically was asking for um, a bunch of shares to cover his position, and that automatically was gonna take the price up. But what they did is they started alerting themselves and talking to each other like, hey, such and such is about to cover their position, so the price is 100% going to go up. Why don't you get in on the action? But by doing so, they basically poked or opened new holes in Bill Huang and Archegos, and we've seen the final result of what happened with Archegos. But the street was trying to label it, and now they're all ganging up against him. They're bringing in executives that worked for him, and they're going to be star witnesses in his case. I mean, you see, like they're literally probing each other from the inside out. And these are all guys that dine and wine with each other. But when it comes to the dollar bill, there's obviously no honor amongst thieves. And that's so far what's happening, at least with that. We have a lot more to talk about. Veronica Chase, it's always lovely to see you, my friend. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm also very glad to see you as well. Uh, Mr. Nickel, how are you doing, my friend? And the stock whiz, some FTDs are being covered, I think. I'm up there with you. We're gonna talk about that right now. That's why it's the title of the video. Uh, but I like that. I like that. KJW, how are you, my friend? Um, and they will not cover them all. Stock whiz, that is my what I think as well is gonna happen is that they're not gonna cover all of them. Um, because by default they're not going to be able to cover all of them because some of them don't kind of exist. And here's why. This is extremely kind of a little confusing to some people unless you're active with what's happening with the stock and all, and you're kind of used to all the scrutiny that is happening. um, a bunch of those FTDs are in a form of options. So when those options, even though they were exercised, uh, and they were basically at some point not, their FTDs, that most of them or a lot of them belong to some of them, because they, like, for example, Citadel is playing AMC. They're putting stock in AMC. They're investing in AMC, options, puts, stock, in all ways possible you could think of. So this is what, like, what's the point of me covering my own stuff? I don't need the payout. I don't need to pay myself and lose for myself. Uh, I'm already losing enough that no one is gonna come asking about those, because I'm the one. I'm not gonna come ask about them for myself. Then I will be charging myself over. Um, and we'll see when the storm starts. This is exactly where we're heading, in that direction. Now we got, like I said, we got a bunch of cool topics to talk about. Um, it's just impossible to cover them all. Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, the Fed made sure that the impossible is possible. Um, they print money like it's just sitting there, and free electricity and free material and everything. They don't care. They're like, we'll print. Uh, that's what it is when you're the top dog on the block, right? All right. So that was the first thing with Bill Huang situation and how it's developing. Now, this whole news that I know we barely covered yesterday about Ray Dalio and all that stuff. Uh, and Kim A, how are you doing, my friend? Nice to see you in here. And D Robinson, welcome to the chat. Wanted to call you, keep in touch. Haven't felt like talk. And Veronica, you are absolutely correct. The storm is starting soon. So with Ray Dalio, I want to keep you guys with something that is really important to remember. Um, Cost to borrow is going up and shares loaned out is going up. Dalio effect is in play as he doesn't ever lose. Things are going to moon soon when the executive order goes in effect. Peter Jefferson, I sure do hope so, my friend. And speaking of Ray Dalio, as we were talking, Ray Dalio, one thing I want you guys to remember, we have seemed to, because of such because for over a year and a half, we've been on this play all on our own, kind of by ourselves. We've stepped through all kind of storms, rivers, volcanoes, whatever you want to think of, natural disasters. We've been through all that on our own. In fact, it was already rigged, but it became even worse when all other parties and all other sides that are not even supposed to be, uh, they're supposed to be, they're not supposed to be involved with the other side that's going against us, but in the same time, their job is to make this uh, process as legal as possible. It's not up to, for example, the SEC or the feds who takes over who and who wins over who, but it's their job to make sure that this, no either of either no one from either side commits fraud against the other, or commits fraud in order to better their hand against the other side. And unfortunately, it should not even be this side against that side, right? It shouldn't be like that. It should be just an investment. Whether you're institutional or retail, it should be just you invest your money in this stock, and whether it happens to be filled with institutional investors or uh, retail investors, it's not supposed to be in a way in where it's just retail against institutional, because you have, with that being done like that, you have a problem now of retail and institutional ever trusting each other ever again, even in the future. And here's the thing: I know that a bunch of us never had trust toward executives, our institutional investors, or institutional companies, or all that. But that's a big problem, because a lot of retail investors who don't, uh, invest themselves. They Where do they go to invest their money? They go to institutional hedge funds like Ray Dalio's, for example, hedge fund. And when things like this happen in the market, which never happened before, because too much, obviously, for over a year and a half, it became a you against me kind of thing. Before, it was all done behind closed doors. People, like maybe one or two retail traders, knew what's happening, and they were upset. But every time they came out and spoke loudly about it, everybody, including their retail investors, named them or labeled them as losers, and they just didn't know how the market worked. But trust me, guys, I've been around the market for a while to know what it was happening back then. I've been labeled and called so many names for so long because I was calling stuff like that out on Facebook back then or other social media platforms. But back then, even the retail class was working against itself. They literally, even retail investors like all of us, a bunch of us could have been, we went and followed the advices or the way of investing of from the Ray Dalios, the King Griffins, those people, and all other billionaires or Warren Buffett's. These guys were the ideal thing that all of us looked up to. A bunch of retail looked up to. Now, why am I always so hard on these guys? Why do I always say, and you guys remember this, hey guys, I'm not so sure Bill Gates is on our side. I'm not so sure Elon Musk is on our side. I'm not so sure that Bezos is on our side. In fact, I want to be surprised if these guys were on the other end battling us. And the reason why I say this is because so many years of seeing how and being in there, it's kind of like when you work at a job. First few days, few shifts, all gonna be amazing. Everybody's shit smell like roses, because you're trying to get acquainted and trying to get to know the place. They're trying to show a better picture so that you can love your job and obviously work there forever, whatever the case may be. But when things set in and you get used to that job, then you begin to see all the flaws in it. Like you stop looking for the good things, because when you first go there, you start looking for the good things. Now that you've acquired all the good things and you know all the good things about that job, you start focusing on the bad things or the cons of that job. And that's what I'm saying, that being in the market, you or me or any other retailer, now you get to see, because before there was no social media platforms or like to this level of today that we're in. There was no brokerages that were giving you free trading like the Robinhoods and anything. I mean, let's think about it, guys. Without Robinhood, as terrible as a platform it is, or the Weebles, would we have ever realized or stumbled on this opportunity with the AMC? I don't think so. Why? Because majority of the people came in on these platforms investing on this, and then we ventured out when we saw that these platforms are screwing us over with payment for order flows. Um, so I thank these platforms for what they did. But once you're on the inside, now we've been in for about a year and a half. Many retail, many retail traders back then, like before 2020, most people did not retail, did not take care of did not even worry about the stock market. Majority. In fact, the most sophisticated ones just were jumping in on some random platforms just so they can buy some crypto, because they hear crypto this, crypto that. But the stock market was something that if you were a retail trader, you were going to, you felt like if you needed meat, you go to the butcher, you go to you go to Kroger, you go to wherever that sells meat. If you wanted to fix your car, you went to a mechanic. And if you wanted to invest money, you went to the institutional investment groups like the Ray Dalios and the Citadels and whatnot to put your money there. Now, obviously, some hedge funds bigger than others, so obviously every person chose their size and went there, because obviously retail investor doesn't mean we're all investing 100 shares or $5,000 or 10,000 or even 20 or $30,000. There are many retail investors that obviously invest millions of dollars with these hedge funds. And if we backtrack to the end of 2021, the reason why the market was all crazy propped up and everything is because they needed returns. Every time you look toward the end of the year, massive hedge funds always want to tend to yield some income or some profit so they can keep these big figureheads, these retail traders, but they're just trading with them. Now they're losing for the last better part of the last 2 years. They've been losing so much money because people have realized I can do this on my own. In fact, I see what little that the institutes charge me 40% or 30% or 10 or 15 or whatever, 20% return on my investment year after year. But guess what am I what I can make hundreds of more percents on my own. What is their job? Just because if you call in, if you were a retail investor, I have a friend, and this friend he owns the Buffalo Wings and Rings. I don't know if you guys know that franchise, uh, but he the owner is originally from Jordan. Amazing Christian guy, and I'm not too close to the guy, but I'm very close with many of his family members, and I've met the guy and I've sat with him a couple of times. He's very humble and cool guy. Most of you remember him from the Undercover Boss. He had an episode where he went in one of those wing and ring franchises that he owned, and he the show and what it's about. But anyways, he's an investor, and I talk with him, and he asks me, and he talks with me here and there. The guy pays ludicrous money to brokers that he put his money with, and all he literally puts it there, and then at the end of the year he just checks and calls the guy and says, hey, so what is the outlook? Because individuals with a lot of money, they don't have, and this is crazy, it sounds crazy, but they don't have enough time to track their money. No matter how much time they got, or no matter how much money, they just don't have enough money or time to track all that money. So with bringing us back to Ray Dalio now, Ray Dalio is in this for money. Don't confuse for one single second. Don't, please, guys, do not jump on the Ray Dalio wagon. And because I understand we've been on our own, as I was mentioning. See, I was prepping you for this statement. I understand that we've been on our own with this whole thing, and now it feels good to have somebody like this come in on our side. Um, and it's just amazing. It seems like he's on our side. But for a year and a half, he didn't see one of the biggest hedge fund in the world couldn't see the potential in AMC and GME a year and a half ago, a year ago, 6 months ago. Now they see it. I'm not going to stress on the fact that, at least he's here now, right? So I love that. Keep my eye on the fact that most of these can pull a mudrick on us. They could come in, have a big position. It runs up 5, 10, 20 bucks. Let's say we run up to 30 or 28 here in the near future. What do you think this guy's going to do? Do you trust that he's in it for a squeeze like you and I? These guys, like the Ray Dalio, they can come in and they can, yeah, buy in at a very cheap price, like when it was in the upper nines and the lower tens. And they could easily uh, sell as soon as it goes 100%. I mean, is it so hard for AMC to climb back up to 20? Clearly, that's not a very hard thing. We've done that so many different times before. That's what makes this stock very, very beautiful for these traders or these day traders. And I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I am not a fan of a Ray Dalio, but that does not mean when he comes in, I'm all. That's it. My feet and my hands are all in cold water. I'm cool. We're fine. Ray Dalio is here. No, we've don't forget we have been on this on our own. And when we finish this, we are going to be on our own. And that's going to be beautiful, guys. It's going to be beautiful. Like I'm telling you, it's just going to be super beautiful, because clearly we are destroying Wall Street brick by brick on our own from day one. We don't need anyone else to destroy the rest of it. It's working, it's happening. And it's not that we came aiming to destroy anything. God knows. We just want to make our money the rightful way, which is our right. We have. We've been doing every part that we needed to do up to this point, and we've been making, the right things, but now all other forces on the other side just can't let it happen. Cheating at its finest, you know? Now, um, what are we gonna see as far as from here until the near future? Well, I personally think that none of this have been, uh, you know, any covering. If this small rise that we're experiencing right now is covering, um, it's gonna be the first time I ever in my whole life see a covering job that is this small or this. I mean, it's not, nothing is impossible. Okay, I'll put it that way. But covering doesn't come in the form of small orders, small trades where it's like every block is like, excuse me, it's a very small order trade. And because that's what we experienced it today, we had zero large orders. All of them were all medium and small orders. The same thing for the past few days. We had zero large orders, whether for selling or buying. If they're doing any covering, you can rest assured that's if, and I doubt that that's the case, but if they're doing any covering, they have been doing it. That means they have been doing it for a long time now, for over a year and a half. Slow amounts, small amounts, like, confirming the talk between them and the bank, the broker that lent them the shares. They're basically all working hand in hand, which is extremely illegal. It's the most illegal thing in all illegalities in the market. Which is obviously conflict of interest. You are colliding or colluding together so that you can come out on top and obviously make one end the loser, which is the retail on this side. Um, and here's the crazy thing about that. If that was to ever to come to light, then there will be zero, and I make this statement again, there will be zero excuses that the SEC can make. You know why? Because the SEC have a lot of limits that they cannot go over. And I understand they're far less advanced than these hedge funds. But there is no way that they can come out and make an excuse and say that the whole entire market, with all its major central banks in it, were colluding with each other, having swaps, which the DOJ did mention, and talking along the line for the entire year and a half process while they were delivering the certain amount of shares that were needed, to the such and such entity. Let's say Archegos. We'll use them as an example because that's what was happening with them. The only difference, what happened with Archegos, is that they crossed them. The people on the inside, some people, and I forgot their names, they did an inside job on the inside job that Bill Huang was doing. And as I told you before, everybody in the market is doing it. I believe everyone else is doing it. Archegos wasn't the only place and the only one doing it. And when you see uh, these guys, if they were doing this for a whole year and a half, such and such needed a small batch of shares so that they can cover, so that, but a certain amount that it does not skyrocket the price 400, 500, 600%, similar to what happened with Archegos. That's how he basically ultimately lost. I mean, he came on the bottom and he said, you know what? Hey, he went to, I think it was Morgan Stanley, and he told them, hey, I need this much or big block of shares so I can cover this position. I need them. And they were like, okay, but who also was on that line took that info and went ahead and started telling other guys. And the other guys are like, okay, well, there's money. He's losing anyways. Might as well take the whole bag. You see how terrible these guys are to each other? I mean, I guess it's money, the evil of money. So if they've been doing any covering, or if what we've seen today was there's some covering in it, that means there's been completely so much illegal stuff happening back for over a year, year and a half, so that they can try to limit the amount of exposure that they are exposed to as far as in the naked shorts and the shorts. And then when they get to a limit where that's the limit, okay, good, now we can't get vaporized anymore, they will let this thing run. That's if this is the case. I don't think that's the case. I think what we've been seeing is small batches of FTDs being delivered, but they've been using these FTDs in perfect timings. I explained it to you guys yesterday, and I will do it again in a small, very quick way. Again, when you buy a share in the 30s, 20s, 40s, and they have to deliver those shares, they don't deliver it. They have these loopholes that it's beyond me to understand why. It would never make any sense why the SEC is so far under advanced to that, of how they can write long, way far out of the money option calls or option puts. And that way they can kick the can down the road on those FTDs and do a recycle so that it can keep going further. But what that is doing is whenever they know that they have to answer to those FTDs. But what they do different here is that if you bought in at 23, 24, 25, whatever, 40, let's say you bought in at $40. You were one of those people that bought in at 40, and they don't deliver. They gave you the sign that you bought 5 shares, but you really didn't get the 5 shares. What you got was an IOU. Now, a year later, let's say, or whenever the price touched the bottom teens, which it did more than one occasion, that's when they buy those FTDs on the market and deliver them. Now, the crazy part here is, what are they buying? Are they buying real shares or fake shares? What are they delivering? Because, okay, first, they already made their money on the shares that you bought. They pocketed most of the money you paid, basically, because you paid for a $40 stock, and instead you received it. Your stock actually received your stock when it was worth 11, 12, or 10, perhaps 9. And all that pocket difference between 40 and $10, so $30 per share times $550 worth of what you paid completely went to somebody else's pocket that has nothing to do with the market. Literally, they just had nothing to do with the market. Now it comes to the question, what are they failure, like the failure to deliver? How are they able to deliver these from what? Because we know there's billions of failure to delivers. So how are they going to deliver those when there's only supposed to be 500 plus million shares on the float? How are they? What are they buying? What are they delivering? What I honestly think is happening is they're paying for these failure to delivers for over an entire year and a half so that they can cover a lot of tracks for the least amount of money possible. So again, they made $40. You paid $40. They paid only $10 out of that 40. They pocketed 30, and they'll continue to do this process. They continued since they started this process over a year and a half time, which means they have delivered all the failure to delivers by when it's time for this to run, they would have delivered all the failure to delivers on this and covered the fake ones. So like whatever is synthetic out there, they would have already, covered all that stuff. How? You and I will never see the light of day on those things. No one will know. It will die with the people that know about it. That's personally, honestly, what I think has been happening. Um, because they can't just cancel you out. I know I've seen a lot of creators and their opinions on this matter. but it's not a finished process or product that they give you. I've seen it. I've listened to many people, and I don't think anybody have touched or hit the nail uh, enough to actually give a perfect full picture, not just a way in. Some people dabbled with it. Some people said some things that could make some sense, um, but it's not a finished process. You got to think this whole thing throughout. Again, think of them. What's in it for them? How could they? I know some creators even said that they're not going to even touch those failure delivers. Do you know what's in those failure delivers? Possibly your own shares as that creator who's speaking about that stuff. I'm not going to mention which creators' names and any of that stuff because it's besides the point. It's all about the message here, not about the drama. Um, so if I bought shares, you bought shares, and we received a lot of IOUs, guess what those shares turned into? Failure to deliver. Those were failure to delivers. So if theoretically, if they're never going to touch the failure to delivers, how are you and I going to ever make our money? They can't cancel half. They can't cancel all. They can't cancel 20% or 10% because someone out there has an application or a brokerage account that has those shares in them. As far as he or she knows, they own shares, real shares. They don't know that it hasn't been delivered because they paid for it. Now, if the stock market was all physical and nothing digital, none of this stuff would have worked for them. They wouldn't have been able to do any of this. The key point here, or the key part here, the component is the fact that it's all digital, so it can't be tracked. Why? Because if it was all physical, you paid $40 per share for 5 shares, and now you paid that money and they delivered physical certificate that you have those. That is different than when digital, you just see it on the screen. I know it sounds the same, but it's really not because you don't know. Like if there's 500 million certificates or shares, there will be 500 of those ledgers or those papers. And once all those 500 million are shipped out, that's it. Everybody bought them. That means the whole float was purchased. If there is more that is printed out, now you got different illegal issues going on because you're counterfeiting. Now you got bigger legal problems to deal with. So that's why this whole thing needed to go digital years ago, then to stay with the old system because it was easy to break. Could you imagine if we had the old system these days and we're on board? Because back then there was no retail traders as exposed to the market as much as we are now. There will be no Wall Street today as we know it or as we speak of it. So that's the key point here. I believe that over all these months, year and a half, they have been tackling the issue of FTDs that, you know, when it's said and done, they literally have enough money to pay you or me. And obviously the Fed will have to do a little magic, a little printing magic, to make the rest pop out. But everything that is illegal or synthetic, all that is being covered. And they give it enough time along the way for people to sell, because when people sell, doesn't matter, day traders, long holders, whatever, once you sell, they jump on those shares. They literally jump on those shares, take them, tuck it away, and they go back to their servers and look, how many more do we have? Because we don't know the number. Some of us think it's 50 billion shares out there, 25 billion, 35 billion. They know the real number. They know how much. And the reason why this has been taking this long is because they know how long they need to keep covering those things, because they knew that along the way, many people will drop off the play. And that has been true. People did drop along the way. I witnessed it last year toward the end of the year, around the holidays. So many people were selling just so they can have better, holidays for their families. And no knock on anybody. At the end of the day, you do what you do. And many people were also liquidated because they got margined in their accounts. I know some of you remember this. There was many posts all over social media, whether on Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. People reaching out to to the creators they follow on YouTube and telling them, "Hey, I don't know what to do. I'm getting a maintenance call. What is this about?" They were able to squeeze retail out, unlike what we're trying to do. They basically did the reverse. We were trying to squeeze them, they squeeze us out. But little that they knew, obviously, that many of us, the majority of us, are not, as dumb as they basically think we are. They call us dumb money. The only difference between the two of us is that one knows a lot, the other one thinks they know a lot, but they have the finances and all the tools necessary to even make them cheat to try to beat us. If we have the same leeways that they do or they have, you can only imagine how successful we'll become. It's truly amazing how many smooth-brained apes that we call ourselves, obviously apes here, uh, and wrinkle-brained people we have. And it's again that mindset that the most rich, like the Dalios, the Buffetts, the Bezos, are the most intelligent or the most successful because they are. I'm not saying that, I'm not taking any credit from these guys. They probably did one or two things along the way that made them a little more successful than others. But I will never look up to another man like this who I did not, or who have priors as far as market scandals, as far as market uh, colluding and problems and all that crap that is happening with them. I mean, at the end of the day, you cheated your way to your wealth. Whether it was in the beginning, whether in the middle, whether at the end of your wealth, if you did it once, that's it. Your whole wealth is credited to that cheating. So you can no longer stand up and be an idol, at least in front of me. I know the rest of the world, uh, they always just have this idea where, especially the older generation, they had this idea: if you need to talk about money, go listen to Warren Buffett. Just listen to this guy. Listen to this guy. These guys on top. And do you think, for a single second, do you think that if somebody's got something working and it's working for them financially in every possible way, do you think by any metrics they're going to really come out and give you the keys to all those and tell you exactly what they do so that you can go ahead and do the same thing as well? They will give you small leftover fries out of the bag, throw it on the side, things that don't make or break. Small quotes like, hey, when there is fear, be greedy. And when there's greed, be fearful. Like, you throw some things like this to sound like not just an entrepreneur, but a philanthropist. While in the background, they're doing whatever they need to do so that they can make sure, like, for example, Bill Gates pushing the agenda of vaccines and everything and going to different countries, like he even has a degree in this, and he has nothing to do with that. The guy is a computer programmer, for God's sake. And buying out a lot of farmlands and everything, and now we see food surges and all that stuff. It's like, man, is it possible that you guys have a lot to do with this? It's not far beyond. The best part about all of this is why I'm summoning all this talk up for you guys in this sentence. The best part about all this is that majority of retail now is awake, or in other words, what they say now is woke to excuse me. They're woke to all this madness. Nobody is believing a single word that is coming out of any of their mouths, and they don't like this. Whether be it the government, whether be it these institutions or these rich individuals, because they had it way better before. When Bezos walked around, so many people, whether males or females, like, followed him and kissing the trail that he was walking on, just hoping to be anything like him in the future, a fraction of what he is. Uh, And same thing with Jerome Powell, Janet Yellen. These people were voted, and we all used to look at, like, many retailers. I'm not going to say we all, say many retailers were looking at these individuals as, okay, yeah, he's going to make the printing money machine go crazy, and yeah, she's going to do this. But ever since all this madness have been happening, retail have turned the microscope around. Instead of looking up, they're looking inwards. And now they're seeing all the madness, the bacterial infections, and the virus of a system that we have, that we belong in. It is so disgusting to the point where you can't keep your eye on it for too long because it's so disgusting. Now you got everybody exposing Yellen, exposing Powell, exposing every billionaire, exposing every government official. That's something that absolutely is something they don't like. This is another conviction for me of why you should believe 100% in the squeeze for the meme stocks. Because at the end of the day, like, you have so many different reasons or catalysts that proves to you why it's more costly for them to give us the middle finger on these plays rather than letting them run. Because eventually, when they let them run, it also, all the hysteria dies down. Even the people that believed the government and all other parties were screwed up or whatnot, they will let out, because once you have your money, you're cool now. That's it. I know certain few individuals will still operate on the basis or the senses of, I'm trying to make sure you. I understand we ran now, but this should have happened a long time ago, and I will never trust you ever again, no matter what happens. But that will be the few. When majority of the people see the money, they sell, and they see the money, and they see their lives are different now. They're going to tend to forget about that, and they're just going to be like, hey, this is the way the market works. Let's just look forward, move ahead forward, and hey, it is what it is. That's what, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. That's what I will also do. Is I'm gonna move forward. Now, doesn't mean I will ever trust these guys, because I was already on the wagon of trying to expose these people and expose the reality that you're not safe thinking that these guys have your back when they really are stabbing you in the back. Every individual you could think of, um, that's in a position of power. That's what they've been doing. Again, I'm not going to throw an allegation here as well, but had it been for also Biden uh, passing the executive order last year and extending it until this year for a whole year, they wouldn't have had a whole year worth of playing around with us and taking our money. So, in every position of power you could think of, you need to think a gazillion times before you offer that trust or your gratitude to. Um, And also, what else do we have here we wanted to talk about? As you can see, also, crypto is still consolidating around that 30,000 range, which is extremely interesting as we are talking about it. AMC is continuing its little run. It's at 1323 right now. GME, same thing. BBIGs, it had a little nice pop afterwards, but now I'm seeing that the orders are all stacked up and the sellers are the hedge funds are back in control. It was just a quick one, and they had to fill up the order books quickly so that they can limit where it can go. Like, as you can see, as I could see here, um, clearly they don't want it to go past 320 because it touched, I think, 318 or 315, something like that. Yeah, 314 in the after hours. And as soon as they saw something like that, 320, that price target, they don't want it to go past that. They stacked up more than 60,000 shares in one order, one big wall, just so that the price doesn't in the after hours go over there, because there's no halts in after hours. Um, Anybody can get vaporized in after hours or the pre-market, and they wouldn't have much to do unless they set these things in. Now, here's the crazy part. Remember months ago when we were talking about the SEC passing that regulation where hedge funds can trade in the after hours again. They can also have access to trading in the after hours. Um, yeah. Obviously, I think that's specifically made for the squeeze time, because when it squeezes, they can't just let this thing, as crazy as this play has been, they can't let it run in the after hours or the pre-market freely, because we literally will be looking at what, one day it closes pre-market or aftermarket, it goes wild. If these guys can't tap in and do what they need to do, uh, we can wake up the next day and, oh wow, we can look at the price and it's like we're already in 4 digits before the market even opens. So there needs to be obviously a lot of control, stepping up slowly. Obviously, the slow stepping of the climb that we're experiencing right now. The reason why they're not doing all of it all at once is because, one, it's going to help the market maker with the options chain. If this thing, let's say, goes up that 13 or 14% that we went up today in between the market and then the after hours so far, if it all went up at once, that will create more FOMO. That will create volatility on the IV, on the options, to be way higher, which means people who are not in the money with strike prices, who are not in the money, could possibly be in the money, depending on what strike price and how far they are, as far as when the option comes to the extrinsic value, when it comes to conclusion. So they don't want, obviously, that to happen. So let's have a small rise, like deliver slowly here and there, small orders. That's why there's no big orders. There's none, zero big orders in the past a few days that I've been witnessing on the market. I've been paying attention to that. Most of the orders have been small orders or medium. And by doing so, the price doesn't climb up drastically at once, which means the options can still be a place or a pool for the market maker to continue to thrive in and play in. I'll kid you not. I'll tell you this. The options chain is also another big reason why we've been waiting for this long. Uh, I mean, when you're talking about millions of people and millions of them are playing the option, uh, if this was to squeeze properly, and obviously they have to cover all the shares and everybody's holding, they're saying, I'm holding to infinity and I'm not selling. And on top of that, they're holding on to option plays as well. There is absolutely no enough money, even in the printer, not even enough ink in any printer out there that can print enough money for all that. The options, the market maker knows when, because obviously they have access to where people are putting their orders as far as options. There's no need for payment for order flow on that because you can see it, option interest. And the crazy thing, when you're the market maker, you don't need to look at the flawed info as far as the volume and the option open interest, because the open interest and the volume, you can't, like, it indicates a lot for you as a trader, but it doesn't give you a definitive answer. So, for example, if I buy an option strike price $12, I bought it and I on the volume on that strike price of $12, it will show two. If I was the only one to buy and sell that same option, it will show two, the volume of two, even though it's just the same option that was purchased and sold, but it will still show two because there's two transactions. So the market maker knows that other stuff. The market maker knows that, hey, the option, okay, one volume, two volume, three buyers, four buyers, and they know where all the things, chips are stacked, so they can go and attack it. So while you playing options, I'm not trying to discourage anybody or encourage anybody to do anything. But if you are planning or if you have been playing options, keep in mind what I just said to you so that you can, better yet, cover your bases a little. Because now with what I said to you, if any of you didn't know this, now you're going to go about options in a complete different way. I know that 100%. Because once you know that the other side knows where you're putting your chips at, it's so easy for them to say, okay, well, anything but the strike price, because majority of the exposure is here. If all these go out of the money, we make so much money, and it doesn't matter if we let some of these go in the money, because we can pay for all the people that they lost. So we beat these big amount of people. We take most of their money, but then we give a small amount, some money, um, and we pocket obviously the difference. At the end of the day, are they putting any money? No. It's an amazing business. Wish we were all market makers, right? Wish we were all on that side. Now the problem is, uh, I'm not a swindling piece of crap. So therefore, obviously, the market. If I was a market maker, none of this stuff would be happening in general. We wouldn't have a squeeze to talk about, because everything would have ran smoothly. And if this stock was going to squeeze, it was going to squeeze rightfully so, and it was going to happen regardless, because I was not going to go do anything illegal, like naked shorting or anything to do any of that stuff. But again, that's the difference between me and the individuals that are up there, and any of us. Let me read some of these comments. I know I didn't read any, and then I'll cover one final topic before we leave. It's an important, obviously. Let's see, where am I at? Oh wow, I'm way behind. Folks, how are you, my friend? You are the legend. D. Robinson, thanks. I just have zero energy and sleeping a lot. Well, uh, go out for a little walk, and a little movement will give you some energy. If you feel like you need more sleep, just get more sleep. Put the alarm when the price goes up. Just put the alarm to wake up. Then, guy got a Glock. What's up, my friend? I'm glad you are resetting and hope you are feeling better. Resting and hope you feel better. Well, yeah, that's for D. I'm pretty sure. After AMC, Mr. Nickel says, I'm sticking to the institution of Elon. All right. I mean, think of it. Electric cars, hands down, obviously Tesla is the king of that game, in that realm. Um, what are the odds you see Tesla in the 500s or in the 400s again? You think with some money, do you think that's a good price to buy in at Tesla at? You think that's a good buy or not? Hmm. I think it is. Tapped in mindset. How are you, my friend? Imagine if it was a platform in 2008. Yeah, I know. Veronica, that is true. We would have, oh my God. Wall Street would not be there. In the 20th dimension, in Future Whale Sector 747, I'm an institutional investor for the Future Whale community, recipients of AMC MOAS. Future Whale always got that sense of humor, and always amazing to see you in here, brother. Um, oh, someone just got coiled again. How are you, my friend? Nice to see you in here again. She's tired of everyone, I guess, pronouncing her name not correctly. So basically, she changed it to coiled again now. Don't worry, Seisha. And Future Will said Ray Dalio did not buy AMC. His manager purchased it only by client's request. People are mistaken on how asset managers work. Hey, there you go. There you go, guys. Kim A, we are transplants to AB since there's no morning anymore. Kim A, you are the best. Am I really that behind? Yeah, wow. I am really that behind. Oh, wow. You guys are chatty today. And Kim, I'll get back hopefully as soon as my schedule gets a little bit better um, in the mornings to making, morning talks and everything. But I'm saving it mostly as well for great talks when the squeeze really starts happening. I'm leaving, like I said, I've been leaving clues left and right here and there for some things, for people to dabble with. And we'll see. Again, the Discord is a great place to hear something. So if any of you guys have not joined the Discord, again, it's on the top of our chat. Um, it's obviously free or everything. You could just join in and you can hear everybody else in this family speak over there. And Samara, welcome. Welcome back to the chat, and hopefully everything is going great in Kenya. Sweet, hope you're ready. We are getting close. Yes, guy got a Glock. Um, Again, I'm gonna talk about this as soon as I read the comments, guys. It's very important to remember. Guy got a clock. If I don't, and soon, if I don't stay up until, if I don't continue to stay up like until 7 in the morning or 8 in the morning every day, um, I probably will do some morning ones. You know, I normally just do my trades in the pre-market, exit, then I'll continue to see or like do some more research and seeing who's doing what is happening, keeping an eye on things, because as soon as the market opens up, um, from that point on out, I have no more business to deal with at the market. I'm already out. Um, so I can basically get my rest then, but I wake right back up around 2, 1:32. So I get my 4 or 5 hours through that. Sometimes I do a 2 hour sleep naps, broken in, uh, in times throughout the day. But I don't know. The doctors have been telling me to try to switch it up to get back to 8 hours or whatever. I don't know. I'm a rat lab now, so uh, lab rat, not rat lab. Yeah, that makes no sense. He doesn't lose much, so he adds a bit of safety as well as prices. The prices, the DD was right, as he is probably hedging for the upcoming correction. I mean, yeah, and here's the thing: whether uh, it is his manager that is buying based on what people are asking him to buy, or whether it was him that bought it or whatnot. At the end of the day, he is gonna hedge, right? And I've even been saying to a lot of people, unless you're in a blue chip stock, anything is dangerous besides meme stocks in these times. You're in danger if you're in any of these other stocks, because they're gonna like we've already been correctionalized legally and illegally in so many different ways, and we all know that, nakedly or fully clothed. Um, these blue chip stocks have not been as played with. I mean, you can't really naked short or do stupid stuff with Amazon stock or stocks that are, four, 500, 300, 600, 700, $800. The cost to borrow to even short, and it's not going to drop. You're exposing yourself to extension. Um, so those stocks are the most worrisome now in these times, because when somebody needs to pay something or they are going broke on something or whatnot, whether it's AMC, GME related or not, who do you think they're going to go and sell? They can't sell AMC because they're shorting AMC. So the only way they can get out of that short is by closing it. What does that mean? They have to close. They have to buy instead of sell to make money. They need money. They're not in a position of paying money. They need money. So where do they go? They go to the blue chip stocks. They go to the Amazons, the Teslas. I mean, come on. Just a few months ago, Tesla was $1,300 a share. Now it's a 700, nearly half that. Amazon was 3,400, 500 a share. Now it's 21, 2,200 per share. Those are big slices that obviously people are taking out of those shares or those stocks. We're not dealing with any of that. We just have, I mean, we're already in the bottom. We have nowhere to look but up. All right, Jeffrey, what's up, brother? How you doing, my friend? Hopefully everything's going great with work, Jeffrey. When we win, you gonna send me lobsters, Gloria. I think we're all gonna visit Gloria. We're all gonna visit each other when we moon. Shab Ahmed, welcome to the chat. And yes, bbig is one of the big ones. I think so. All right, let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. I'm skimming through the comments just so I can see if there's any questions, and then I'm going to tackle the last topic we wanted to talk about. Haven't taken city bus since high school. Wow, Peter, I still have some in the black bag in my basement somewhere. I still have a VCR stashed in the basement somewhere. I see that Mrs. Coiled again. If he's gonna be like, Redwan, how are you, my brother? Welcome to the chat. Excellent content. AB doesn't even have notes. Yeah, why have notes, right? If you have notes, I personally think that you're over preparing or you're preparing for something that either is you've been taught or somebody is given to you and you don't really 100% understand it. Um, so I mean, again, there's nothing wrong with learning. It's just if you're writing, if you have notes and you're talking to people live about it, uh, then obviously I would begin to question like who wrote this for you, who wrote these things, and then again, you also have some people that can just forget, what topics so they need just the like. It's one thing to write notes, and it's another thing to write just the highlight of the topic so you don't forget, throughout the talks, because sometimes conversations can take us, down a path that. Um, you can't really you forget after it's done. You're like, oh man, I didn't cover this, I should have said that. So yeah, no notes, but headliners, yes, I totally agree with. I like it. I think it should be that easy. It should just come right off the chest. That way the viewer and you have a different connection. You both are connected on a real level, rather than me or you having like the viewer have to think like, is he really understand what he's talking about, or what is this? Like, you don't have to fish for any of that stuff, because obviously I come clean and clear. And if obviously ever anybody wants to um, challenge for any whatever reason or whatnot, that's a good thing, because that's better for the overall betterment of the community in here. At the end of the day, we're not here all just putting our heads down and following along anyone or any statement. Uh, we're here to get exactly what's happening, the truth, and it doesn't matter at what cost, as long as it's the truth. When you guys talking about the movies, I remember when I used to go to Blockbuster. And you guys remember that? And you'd go inside and get like 3 or 4 movies, and it's like $2 per 48 hours or 24 hours. So like, we would pick a movie and then come back and put it. Man, it was crazy. Those days were really good days. Um, Now it's all just like we just throw everything at you. Take whatever you want, watch whatever you want, and leave the rest. Uh, it's different. It's different now. It's like I literally feel like I watch every new movie or TV show if it's to my liking quickly, and then now I'm left with nothing. So I'm constantly waiting for something to come out. Uh, I can't wait for the Game of Thrones, the new to come out. Hopefully, it's not a letdown because normally it is when they do a new series that spin off of something. Um, the Lord of the Rings, I can't wait for that to come out as well. So we'll see. Kim A, you got it. Skinemax. What is this? Where have I? Ah, okay. I'm almost caught up. I see it. Coiled again. Of course, I missed you too as well. Uh, Mr. Panulo, welcome. Always great to have you in here, brother. Hopefully, everything is going great with you and your loved ones, the family. Brendan and Ella's Fun Adventures. Brendan, is that like a YouTube channel or something? Do you have like a vlog or a blog or something? Because if you do, I will go ahead and subscribe to it in case that's something. Because the name sounds like it's like you have. I don't know why it's just now coming to mind, but oh, tapped in mindset. Is it still lagging on you? That's weird. Rudolph channel. Your AMC brackets. Well, first of all, Rudolph, welcome to the community here. Uh, I almost know or familiar with all the names of people that with us. Hopefully, you'll like the community here. As far as AMC brackets, normally all the new people they come in, they throw that question. I've said this many times before, and they see what you answer, and based on that, they'll see if they will like you as a creator or not. And here's the thing: I'm gonna give you the truth, brother. Whether it's what you want to hear or not what you want to hear, it's again, take it for what it's worth. Um, as far as my output on brackets, there's no way to source or to price tag something before it's debut or like the IPO. So, for example, when you have stocks IPOing, they say we want this or it's going to be priced between this and this. But when on that day, it gets a 400, 500% surge out of nowhere. And next thing you know, they get a complete different evaluation and a completely different scenario. In this case, it's even more lucrative or crazy for us, at least, the holders of AMC or GameStop or majority of the other meme stocks, because they are shorting the stock. It's not an IPO anymore. It's not starting new. We know what the insides and the outs are for the company. But what we don't know 100% is the true numbers of one, the synthetic shares that are out there, when the FTDs will be covered, how long will it take for shorts to cover, and how much will everybody else hold? Like you and I, for example, if Rudolph holds to, let's say, just you entertain the thought here, hypothetically speaking, if Rudolph holds to 4,000 a share, if I was holding and I made a preset bracket, and I said my bracket is going to be $12,000, and that's when I will start looking at the price. But if Rudolph was selling at 4, and everybody else was selling at 3 and 2 and 4 and 5, that means I will never see the 12, because right now we're best friends, you and I and everyone else in this family, obviously. But when the squeeze happens, naturally, we become, I don't want to ever say enemies because I hate that word. We're family no matter what at the end of the day, but everyone has their own number or their own calling. Um, and our job in the squeeze, my personal job, your personal job, is to try to read amongst in between those lines on the day of the squeeze and know where to adjust your prices to or where to. I mean, you could be pricing it at, hypothetically speaking, at $500 a share, and suddenly we wake up one day and the squeeze is taking place and it's already from the first leg, it's already in the five, seven, six, $800 range, which means this thing is going to run into way easy into way well into the four figures, possibly five. Who knows? The Feds have not been shy from printing any amounts of money, so anything is possible. But you got to keep your mind on what's happening. What's your gold? Look at your shares as gold. You're holding gold pieces and you're in the gold market trying to sell them. The shares market, obviously, you're trying to sell them. Just a comparison. And gold is always worth different amounts throughout the year or in different times. In recessions, it's worth more than when everything is great, it's very cheap. Right now, think of it as everything is great. So obviously, AMC or GME or meme stocks are very cheap. But when they start squeezing, it's the opposite effect because at that point, the shorters need shares to cover. They begin to cover. And when they need shares, they need us and institutions. So if we don't give shares and the institutions give shares, if see all those ifs, if there is more people of all retail is willing, because we have way more, we're more than 90, 80, 90% holding the float. If all of retail magically, I don't know how that could happen, but if all of them agree to not agree, but let's say agree somehow, hypothetically speaking, on saying we're not going to even think about selling until it gets to 10,000 or 12,000, then at that point, it's much easier of an easier job because you at least, okay, I can't trust the institutions, but I can trust my retail traders, even though that right there is very scary because when people say, yeah, I won't sell at 12, most of them will probably sell at 8 or 9 just so they can make sure they're good. And then after that, they were like, okay, 12,000, good luck, guys. you know. But let's say I do trust all retail, and I obviously don't trust the institution, then that's a different case. At least I have a bracket to look forward to because that's what we're in charge and we're holding the stock. And we're the majority holders of the stock. But if that's not the case, and obviously that's not the case, then how am I to make a bracket about something that is not taking place yet? And a lot of pieces in it are also not consistent. I'm going to need you as much as you're going to need me. And everyone else in the retail community is just like that, hand in hand. We're holding hands. The second there is a break, that's when things start happening differently. That's when people start getting out. If everybody had the same number, yes, I will give you a bracket. But and that would be your bracket, is that number that they give out. But since people obviously can say anything on social media, but really not have to check up to it. And most portfolios are even made up portfolios or bots. Um, how could you make a bracket about something that can't, like, how could you pre-price something before even, you know, before it debutton on the platform, on the market, and actually showing how much dirt is dug up underneath it? Potentially, yes, thing can go to 5 or 6 figures a share. Yes, potentially. Will it go there? I don't know. I'm not going to tell you, no, I don't think so, whatever. No, it's on that moment, on that day of, where we start unraveling brick by brick what is the damage here on these guys, or what are we dealing with. That's when we pick up the hood and lift up the hood off the of the vehicle and see what's under. So honestly, anybody that gives you a pre-made bracket on this thing is either BSing you. I'm sorry to say it like this, Rudolph, but it's either BSing you or they don't know much about the market, so therefore they're just hoping. They're throwing a fairy tale and saying, "I hope or I wish is this is what happens at these prices or at these targets." Um, so hopefully that answers the question, Rudolph. Hi G. Don't feel bad, AB. I only sleep about 4 to 5 hours a night tops. Uh, I'm nocturnal, like a night owl. Speaking of night owls, there's an owl around my house somewhere here in a tree, and literally I could hear this thing. It's weird. I thought they're only supposed to howl at night. This thing howls at 4 p.m. Literally, like when the sun is still up, 4, 5 at night, at all times. One day I will capture a picture of him. He almost tried to get one of the cats, one of my cats at night. I took him out, to walk around the backyard, and suddenly all I see was this huge thing with huge wings. I thought it was an angel from the sky, and I was like, "Oh, this is my time." It wasn't. It was a huge owl, and it took a couple of hairs off the cat because it was trying to claw it and pick it up with it. It was a huge owl, honestly. Um, and I was like, "What just happened right there?" So since it's not an angel, I picked up the stick like right next to me, the wooden branch, and I went right after it because it tried to, pat it a few times to try to get it. And, obviously when I got with the stick, it flew off. It got on top of the house and it was looking down, waiting for me, obviously, I guess, to go so that it can uh, go for the cat again. So instead, I took the cat and I was like, let's go inside. Yeah, we all do. A guy got a Glock. We do know our. There was a weird question I once had, and this is so childish, but hey, indulge me for a second. Um, and this is a funny question. Someone asked me before, um, do you guys like how many of you guys once you take a doozy, how many do you gets up and look back? Do you guys all look back or do you just flush right away? This is it's a childish and a funny question at the same time. And I was surprised with the answers from the people around. Um, Everybody apparently looks at their shit. Oh my god. Now I need my boombox. Kim, hey, you and me both. Tap to mindset. Yeah, I always make time for AB video. Uh, Wake or sleep. Well, that's an honor for me. Tap to mindset. Um, guy, Glock, you like don't binge AV. Yeah, right. Be kind. Rewind. How many times have I watched Breaking Bad? I think it was like 4 times. The whole entire show, which is a lot. Better Call Saul is a little boring, but the last few seasons, including this last new season, has been on point. I like it. There's some new stuff happening in it. Yes, Jeffrey, BBIG did. I anticipate another. See, like, let's see. I anticipate another small little run on it because if you pay attention, guys, BBIG. I remember there was it Warren? Yeah, it was Warren last week sometime. uh, Came in, and Warren is not a shill, is one of the people in this community. But he came in and made a comment and said that I'm glad I was out of this. So I'm glad that he made his money if that's what happened. But I was telling them, like, don't let that be the case. We saw it 9 or 10 or 12% red day. Guess what? In the next few days, we've been gaining 4% here, 6% there, down 8%, but then 15% in one day. So once you see and you add all those up, um, you'll begin to see that we actually have been moving up rather than going down ever since the announcements. It's just, and it's not up in a big way. It's like what? Very small. Um, in the last month, we've been up 17%. Yeah, 42 cents. So we're not up tremendously. And on the week, we're up 9%. Uh, and then the last 3 months, yeah, we're down 20%. So as you can see, when you put all these things together and you average out, you'll see that we're not really, the BBIG haven't, like all these major dips and whatever make it seem like it's been dropping, but those little add-ons and positive days like this, when you sum all of them up, you'll see that we're just okay. They made it look like we went down, but we really didn't go anywhere. The move to the upside still didn't happen. And the move to the downside also did not happen yet because we're averaged out now. Again, back to where we started. Back to reality. AMC is not bad so far. This is another thing at 13:33 in the after hours. This is another main thing to talk about here. If this was covering, will not be the price movement. This is not how the price is going to be moving if this was covering. A lot of people are coming out there. I've heard a couple of creators already that came out and said, oh, yeah, the covering has begun and all that. No, no, no. The storm is beginning, but the covering have not begun yet. If you see covering, you're not going to see it like this. Because when one guy covers, the price by itself could easily go $3, $4, $5 index way well into the excess of that as well in one trading session. And when that happens, you're not going to have a downtime afterwards. It's over. That's why they call it short covering, right? It's a domino effect instantly. As soon as one covers, you guys seen the movie Margin Call, right? Spot on in that moment when one person was covering and they were trying to cover and on the low, stay on the low, don't be really obvious so that everyone else don't catch up to us and catch on to what's happening, what we're doing. But eventually the market sees it and they hear it and they know it and they can pinpoint who started covering. That's why I personally think that they're all from the get-go have been talking about this. They've been swapping positions. One day all that stuff is going to come to light and you're going to remember, say, AB said this many, many, many times before in the past, before the squeeze happened or whatever the future has in store for us. But these guys work together so that because they know that they're all tied up to each one. So together strong and broken one by one or divided, they're very weak. And that is the truth. And that's exactly what is going to go down. Eventually, somebody's going to obviously turn on the rest, wants to be the first person out because they don't want to get obliterated. Let's just face it. And when they do that, the price, you will see the price action is going to be moving way more volatile or weird or crazy than what you are seeing right now. This is what we're looking at right now is managed moving. They're managing this move onto the upside, whether be it for a bull trap or whether that they are delivering really some FTDs only just at a very small price. Because again, it makes sense to them. Why all these months? Why bring a price down that makes people buy more? See, I'm going to answer a question for you guys that a lot of people have been asking for years, for over a year now, but the answer has always been inconsistent. I'm going to give you a full answer here. The question is, everybody was thinking that there's no way. You remember the times when we were in the 50s and the 40s? And then they were like, there's no way. And you know which creators I'm talking about here. There's no way they will dip this thing into the 30s. And what was their reasoning for that? Was because if they dip it into the 30s, there's a bunch of hungry retail traders and institutional traders that are going to walk right in and just scoop all these shares up. Little that they knew, obviously at that time, we dropped into the 30s. Um, what happened to all the scooping up? Well, I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if the scooping up did happen, but the price didn't change. Continuing. Then they came out for the best part of the past year and a half. They came out and said, there's no way this thing will touch 20. People are literally now, the people that couldn't get in on AMC, now they can finally get in on AMC. Little that they knew, again, the price dipped into the 20s. Then they came up with the final prediction saying there is absolutely no way they'll drop it even further into the teens. What? Like, there's no way. And some of them started changing their stance on it and saying, I want them to change it, to bring it down now. You know what? Clearly, these guys are crazy. So I want them, I dare them to bring the price down into the teens. And they brought it into the teens. And then they brought it under 10 just recently. And the answer to that question is, why are they doing that? If they know that they're going to get obliterated on this, and people are talking about 5-figure or 6 figures or 4 figures even, 4 digits, 5 digits, 6 digits on per share, why would they get anybody who's even outside right now a possibility, give them shares, basically allow them to have to come in to buy shares that they can obliterate them for that much down the line? Why? Well, if you start putting that question in your head, you'll come up with a bunch of answers, but you have to figure out which one sounds most reasonable. One, what came up in my head was, clearly, when it's down that low, then they can go ahead. How many people have money? Who's coming in? And in the study showing that in 2021, about 38% of retail investors yanked their money out of the market. I think that percentage is even way higher this year. So who's going to buy in the teens and the 20s? Institutes. Who's going to sell quickly? Institutes. Who also, when the price drops that low, who can finally buy or actually deliver shares that they took the money for at a much higher range, and now they can deliver finally those shares, but they're only paying a fraction or a decimal of what they received. So I paid $50 for my shares. I got them in that account. I think I got them in that account. It's just digital ledger that shows that you got it. Yeah. Nobody's going to check on that because there's no squeeze at that time, right? So I go to sleep thinking I have 100 shares at $40, and I can't wait until I sell them for 50,000 a piece, or 4,000 a piece, or 10,000 a piece. And I'm planning my millionaire lifestyle. But then, I never think about, or I never see the fact that when they drop this price all the way down to the teens and the tens and the nines, now they deliver my shares in my portfolio. I never hear it. I never know about it. They never told me. I never got my shares, obviously, because, you got the number. It's on your screen. What are you complaining about? And if you sold in the 40s or in the 30s at that time, you most likely was taking a quick loss on a trade that they already have set up. And the mindset and the mantra was set up for us to buy and hold. So they knew that, hey, if I don't deliver these shares to these people, no one's going to come asking, because the price is not going to go up anytime soon. I can hold this money that I just got, and I can go ahead and reinvest this money in so many other things for my own better personal reasons. Whichever broker took your money. And now I have big capital in a moment or in a time where there's no money. Now I receive this free money that I will go and work, and I will flip many times over. But when it's time for me, I will come back and deliver these shares. But when I deliver them, I'm gonna be buying them at a very low price, at $9, $10. So I will pay the $9, $10. It's just like a shorting position. They sold you these shares, they dumped them short on the market, hypothetically speaking, at $40, and they bought them back at 10. They pocket $30 profit per share in this mathematical equation here. In this, given that those were what we were working with in that example. Obviously, it works everywhere else. Even the people that bought in at 42.59 or 43.61 or 29.5, they didn't deliver the stock then, and now they go and buy it for less, at least half of that value. Give you your shares. You have your shares. They delivered the shares they were obligated to deliver, and they keep half to, obviously, minimum to much more from your money for free to themselves. Who's gonna know? Who can check? Our SEC? Well, clearly we know where that is. It's so funny how sometimes I even see tweets. Like today, I woke up and when I first woke up, I saw a tweet from Gary Gigi, and he says something about when you invest. It was something stupid. It was like, when you invest for somebody else's money, some other people's money, and it's going to be like a conflict of interest, and that's why you're not getting the full quality of a investment advice, and so is your financials will drop as well in the future. Stupid stuff like that. It's like, dude, when is it going to occur to you? I understand that they don't write their tweets. I know somebody else is writing that stuff for them. It's clear. But when you look at the comments, and this has been happening since the guy took office, there's not even one single person that is saying, I totally agree with you, buddy, or right on, Gigi. Nobody. Everybody is bashing the guy on every tweet. And the guy still tweets like he's in a he's a character in a video game that's just on repeat. You don't die, you just constantly keep repeating. It's like we're in a game of Jumanji in the stock market. It's crazy. It's crazy. And hopefully that explains to you guys the process of these, what happens, of why they are able to make money when we buy and hold. They can make money on that because they know that you're coming in with the intention of buying, and you're not going to sell this until it goes to that infinity number. And that was to their advantage over a year and a half now, and still counting. Yeah, they wanted to push that idea out there also, that they're going to get vaporized and whatnot. Yeah, some will get sacrificed, but the snake's head is going to survive. So yeah, you can cut a snake's tail, but eventually, if obviously if it's not the head, the snake will survive. It will take some time, it will heal and grow even stronger after. And we're not going to obviously the snake's head has been orchestrating all the stuff that I'm talking to you about right now. They knew that a bunch of people are going to come in on this hype that happened in January and then June, and we're going to catch a lot of fish. And when we catch all this fish, the fish is us in this case. They're already coming in expecting not to get any return. They're not day traders. They're coming in to buy the stock and hold on to it for dear life, to sell it into the 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, whatever digits. Which, don't think for a second that I'm saying any of this that means that that's not going to happen. No, that's going to happen. As far as the run up and whatever it goes to depends on us, how long we hold, and all that stuff is going to happen. But those certain powers, because we're going to be fighting each other, how long we hold. Some will sell at less, some will sell for more, and eventually the whole party ends at some point. And then the people that are always holding for whatever imaginary number are the ones that are going to be left holding the bag, because the market maker made his money. Hedge funds, a couple of them got slaps on the wrist. Obviously the Fed have been making so much money in the past 3 years now. Until they got to a point where they were holding assets, a record amounts of assets in the trillions, 9.9 or whatever trillion of assets. We still did not see them unleash, which starts next month apparently. They start unloading their asset sheets. All this market correction that we think you saw, that was just saying hi. That was the Grim Reaper saying hello. he still didn't get to work yet. Wait till they start when the interest, these base these rates that are the 50 base points higher and than the ones they did before, the 25 points, those, when they fully take even next month into more effect, and next month they start unloading their assets. um, if you think this is terrible, soon you'll see more. As far as for the stock market in general, but as far as for our play, these are the best times. I wish this time was a year and a half ago. Um, so everybody's gonna make their money if you're smart. But at the end of the day, the game, the way that they gauge the whole thing is by looking at the whole spectrum. They calculate what is the, like, how much they can expose themselves to, and eventually they come out winners as well. But they still want to put out the implication that they lost. They lost majorly, because that way we can let this thing go. If the squeeze happens and then afterwards it says something about Citadel and other hedge funds are having the best time of their life and whatever, do you think retail traders will feel okay? Because you're going to have millions of people that are going to come out and say that we didn't really squeeze to any number, the hedge funds screwed us again and whatnot. But if you hear negative news saying, oh, such and such shut down, Melvin Archegos going to go to prison, someone else is begging for money but no one is giving him, and now they're going to shut down their doors. What do you think? Then that seems fitting as a story for us. And obviously, we'll move on with the money that we made and the ones that were, I guess, continuing to hold for some, I don't know, godly numbers or something. Um, it again, anything is possible in this play. That's what's so sophisticated about this play, is that anything is possible. The craziest numbers are possible. The low numbers are obviously possible. It's just the behavior of the hodlers is obviously what we don't know, and we don't have access to. Um, so if everybody sticks to their guns in this thing, we definitely have a beautiful, beautiful time ahead of us for sure. Um, Another thing to look at when people talk about the inflation and what's happening around and all that stuff, look around you to see how terrible things are. Look around you. Look in your city. I received a letter the other day in my mail saying that bunch of my local businesses are really struggling. And look at the reasoning that they labeled: because we're coming off of a shutdown, and the winter month was very harsh and terrible. Imagine this is what the cities of municipal cities of local, you know, like for example, Cincinnati City here in this case, is given out to people, and they're also putting out suggestions on how you can help those local businesses so that they don't get exterminated. Well, I would like to tell you, many of them are already closing down. So many of them are about to close down, and extreme and like anything that is called. Remember when we had a few years ago the boom in owned businesses, small owned businesses, and all that stuff? This, what is happening right now, and when it's done, is going to vanquish all that stuff. Everybody who wanted to dream and dare about owning their own business is going to take a big, big, big fat pill, red pill, that basically is going to go ahead and just get a job with some big conglomerate, um, because that is more safe. You don't have to worry about what happens to the company. You're going to get your money, right? They want that thinking process. They don't want you to branch out and be on your own. What good are you then? That's how they see it. This is on a grand scheme of things. This is a much bigger stuff to talk about, even bigger than the stock, or you know, AMC or GME as we're talking about, because this is a human movement. Uh, if governments want control, how can they control if everybody is liking this idea of opening up their own small business, and get completely self-dependent, no longer needs to pay a 401k, no longer needs to pay for this or that. They pay their taxes, but no need to pay for no certain other taxes, like social securities and all that stuff. That stuff is hurting the government. Don't go and open on your own. And then everybody in the community, in entire states, are pushing this agenda. Like, yes, we encourage you to open your own business, and that's good. We as people want to become successful. There's no such thing as just one or two, three, or obviously 1%ers being extremely successful, and the rest are all slaves for them or work for them. Again, I'll put it this way: making some in some weird ways, the society says that labels what you make as in that you should be good, you should be humble, you should be happy and accepting of what you make. So for example, the society, when it comes to us judging each other, if you're making 100,000 a year, 80 to 100 or $200,000 a year, you should be happy and life is amazing, rightfully so, right? But what about the one that is making 100 million a month, or every 24 minutes or something they make $1 million? Those individuals. What do you say to those guys? Rock on? Moon? What term do you use for them? There's no words, right? You just say, "Oh my God, this is just the elite. These 1%ers are the elite." But in order for those guys to have that kind of every 5, 10, 15 minutes, they're making $100,000 or whatever, some weird numbers, ludicrous numbers. When these guys have that means there's going to be a poverty line that is super low, because if someone is taking, someone is giving. And in this case, it's not willingly. It's just this person is taking, and that person is just not being able, is giving, and not even knowing that he's given. Or his opportunities are taken away from him before he even receives them, or before she even receives them or gets to them. Those opportunities are vanquished, taken off the ether. When you look at this movement of this COVID stuff, what's happening on the market now, everything's going skyrocketing with the inflation. When the Fed was printing money left and right, making employees not wanting to work. Many people, my restaurant was one of them, that was hurting so harshly, and still is. First wave was throughout the COVID time. First, we got the shutdown. Then we opened back up, and we're like, okay, we took that to that hit to the chin, and we worked it out. Then when we opened, employees didn't want to show up. Why would they so? Right? They're getting paid more to sit at home. Why wouldn't they? I mean, again, I can't blame them. Yes, I don't agree with that mindset. But how can you blame someone who is who's choosing to get paid, and choosing to get paid more to support their loved ones or themselves, or whatever the case may be, just to sit at home? So you made the public and majority of the nation very lazy and looking out and expecting for handouts for almost an entire half year or 8 months. And now you expect them all to get back to employment. So you continue this whole easing process. You didn't do the right thing right there and then, which made, one, the small businesses couldn't even get access to employees, because even if they wanted employees, now employees saying, hey, if I work for you, I need to make more than sitting at home, because sitting at home makes me more. You can't compete with that. So many places forcefully had to shut down or work around the clock with whatever people they had from their family, rightfully or unrightfully. Like there was a business in the mall that was selling ice cream. I know the guys, and all their employees obviously vanquished, and they were forced to bring their own siblings, their younger siblings, to come, cousins, whatever, to come and work over there. And many of them didn't even have like in that ice cream, like many of them didn't even have the proper, like they didn't even employ them or any of that stuff. Like they were just brought them in, no payroll, no nothing. Because how could you put somebody on a payroll that you don't know how long it's going to take for you to close down or whatnot? They're not even supposed to be working there. They're there just to help you. It was just a nightmare, right? For all small businesses. And now that finally they stopped this giving you printing money stuff, now since they stopped it all of a sudden, and it took so long for them to do that, now you have costs of everything at a skyrocket level that obviously we have never seen before, even since the 1920s. That's why we're looking at a Great Depression that is worse than any Great Depression we've ever seen. Um, you know what's so crazy is that when this thing goes down, you look at the numerical order and you'll be able to see that every 100 years around this same time, in the early part of a century, in the first quarter of a century, there is some major crazy crap happening. This thing happened back in the 1920s, almost 30s, and we're in around, apparently we're in around the same time frame now. What are the odds? What is the connection? I don't know. Let's not read too much into it, but we'll go with what we have on hand right now. Um, the inflation is tearing up the small businesses. Now, not only are employees expecting higher pay, they want higher pay, but all goods are skyrocketing in value as well. So, how is the business going to run? No money. I'll tell you this. I'll give you my experience right now. How is my business making money? Way less than what it used to make before. Way less. And the reason why is because I've taken myself off of obviously the payroll and the employees that I have, and I couldn't screw them over and like limit my employee staff or cut them, slash some. Uh, they most of them worked for me, at least like some of them worked for me for about 8 years. They came with me from one location to another. They've like part of the family now, my personal family, literally. I can't just tell them, hey, times are tough, I got to let you go. And all my staff members, they're in this, like they work with me not only because they love the restaurant, but because they love the idea of how they saw a person open up businesses at a very much earlier age, because most of them got hip to me back then, and their dream is to do the same thing. They want to do the same thing. And that's, in my opinion, I think that's the ultimate American dream. It's not just having a house and a dog and two kids. No, it's like financial freedom, being your own. You are choosing where you go. If you don't work hard and you don't stay hungry after yours and take care of yours, you're gonna fold, and rightfully so at that point. And you deserve it, because you're not doing anything in any part of the world. If you don't do anything and you're just on your ass and whatnot, unless you worked hard to earn that status or to get to that point, then you don't deserve nothing. And in return, you will get nothing because you're not doing anything. But these guys, I literally am cut into my profits just to make sure that they stay working and they have a job and they pay for what they need to pay for, even though the prices are surging into the costs of everything in the business. And now the mall is even talking about sharing the rent, and they want to get more, raise it. It's ludicrous. There's no absolute way that you can convince me that this was not a formal attack up onto the average American citizen that is trying to venture out into becoming their own entrepreneur. No, they want you to be a part of the task force, not your own, just theirs. Keep your hands held out wide. So you need us. They need that. This is a deliberate attack of what's happening, and in a very articulate way too, to attack every small business owner or mind, because this mindset of businesses and people opening their own small businesses started skyrocketing right after the 2016 2017 timeframe, and it got
it showed a lot of potential. Like you see how many people you personally know around you that are, you know, at least you, not even in your own family, just people you know of that have opened up businesses on their own, whether it's cooking in a, whether it's a food truck, whether it's a small handyman, some sort of plumbing agency, but it's on call through them until they get big. Then they open up their own, major warehouse with an HVAC supporter system, everything, plumbing, all whatever you want, electrician. All that is dying right now. The dream has been taken away from the people. All that is dying, and it's not deliberately. I mean, it's dying without, with somebody causing it, but that somebody have hands off, hands free on the whole situation, by the government giving how free handouts 2 years ago. They spoiled the task force, the workforce, and on top of that, they limited the production of obviously the nation, which made us more dependent on the outside and other people and other regions and countries than our own. And then obviously a lot of people stopped working, a lot of businesses closed down from that, and the ones that didn't, the ones that survived 2 years ago, like myself for now, we'll say, those are going to be extremely, extremely impossible almost for them to survive what's coming now. Ultimately, resetting what? Everything in this community or the system that and the society that we live in, bringing everybody back, because as soon as this thing hits rock bottom and everything is terrible from all around, what's the number one idea that's going to be surfacing? And you're going to remember me when you see it. Everybody's going to be talking about, I should just go to college, get a degree, and get back into working for someone or a big major corporation that's not going to hurt from whatever downturn in the future that comes, or financial crisis that come. And that way I secure myself. And that's what they want you to say. Ultimately, it's all about that. Let's see what do we have here in comments. uh Mid drafts. Oh, hold on, what is this? Tapped in mindset, you have a channel now, so your Gatorade commercial or video. Okay, I need to go and subscribe to this. Let's see. Yeah, tapped in. If you have a channel or something, please put in the name, unless it's tapped in mindset or something. Put in the name I can go to, and then I can go ahead and sub to it as well. Um, let's see. Uh, uh, where am I at? I'm really behind. Am I? Wow. Where am I? Okay, I found it. So Jeffrey said, you gotta look to make sure you are healthy. Uh, there's a lot you can't out your health from your. So you guys do look. Okay, Jeffrey looks. Let's see. I'm still holding July calls. I picked up some more $3 calls for next week. I'm assuming you're talking about BBIG here, of course, and there's good possibilities. There's very good possibilities. Just watch out, Jeffrey, for the crunch time, because the crunch time in the options chain, since everybody knows what's up, uh, you know, they know where orders are going on what, and they can trigger what obviously they want to keep under until a certain time, and then they let it go up if there's too much exposure on that strike price. You know the game. You're not waiting for me to tell you this, but I'm just saying it in general. That spa, the whole screen, I have long wick and the cover sped. Margin call was fire. He would you work another 8 hours for another 1.5 million in bonus. I know a lot of us would do it. Uh, Better pay attention, lol. Look at the charts. It happened a few stocks today. The reason for the long wick is because it hits the market at a certain price, and then the bears rush and sell a bunch to drop the price, and that creates the wick. Well said, brother. Ah, Pantheon is in the house. What's up, my friend? How are you, brother? I think AB is saying they are about to get coiled. The wick is sell off pressure. um, my fat fingers keeps pressing the space. Okay, I see. I see. AB or like Pantheon so eloquently explained, they hide it in a non-public fund. That is closing their doors along with their secrets. I mean, books. That is true. There is a tinfoil hat time, Pantheon. 3rd of June is also a special day for us in England. Uh, it's the Queen Platinum Jubilee. Maybe she's an AMC holder. Um, yeah, maybe she needs financial freedom. You know, never underestimate anyone. I think Meghan Markle and Prince should. I think they would be a better than this now that they're casted away from the royal family. I think they would need AMC a whole lot more. Ah, look at you. You're happy with your Mumu account, Jeffrey. Nobody's out to slay a dragon. We just want good money. Amber Stone, thank you. That is uh I mean, there are dragon slayers out there, and some of them are like Boss Blunts and uh AMC Bigums. And I like, I don't know the guys personally, but I just know through their message that I'm hearing, seems like that's what they're after. And that's good. It's good to have dragon slayers. Um, I'm not one. And obviously Amber Stone is not one. We're just looking for a better financial future. No, as I was saying too, guys, like literally, I've been like I have okay, so I have this friend, and I've said this before to you guys, that he's been like haggling me until like even yesterday he did it again about joining them in their company, and I don't which company was it? I forgot even the name. It was like Northwestern or something else. Um, and he was like, dude, please come and work with us. You're gonna have so much money, bonuses, travel, all that stuff. Um, And he got mad. He gets mad every time when I tell him like, stop making it sound so professional. Like they refer to their job as financial advisors. In reality, they are sellers. They're salesmen. They hate that label, but they are salesmen. That's what they are. Because if you as a client want to invest in anything or buy whatever it is, whether they know it's bad or not or whatnot, they're gonna make it happen for you. So you're a salesman. Tell them that you're a salesman. Nothing wrong with salesmen. Most of my life, I've been a salesman, uh, whether in my businesses or in the beginning when I was working for others in retail. It's the problem here is that they don't know much about the market themselves. Have the license of being a financial advisor, but they don't know anything. Any of you guys can school these guys because, excuse me, when I asked him about the market and everything, he did not know anything that we're talking about, right? They just keep jumping back to reserving back to one thing or one analogy. And the analogy is the S&P 500. They don't know anything about the market structure and how it happens, who market maker is, what is market maker, like majority of them, like I'm not joking, you guys, majority of them don't even know that stuff. They just been like trained, and they engraved a statement in their head, in the back of their head. So when all fails, use this. And you know what that statement is? That statement is saying when everything drops and the S&P 500 is eating shit, basically. Sorry for the S word, people. Um, you are to tell the clients, hey, this is their get out of jail free card. This is the one statement that all of them know. All of them are trained to say, well, it's a better opportunity for you to go ahead and buy. This is a buying zone. The average down, and the S&P 500 historically speaking always goes right back up. You're going to make a lot more money in the next 4 to 5 years. So, the reason why I always give them a big fat no of why I don't want to do it is because I can't sit there and BS people to their in their face and tell them like, hey, yeah, you're gonna bounce back up. S&P 500 always bounces back up. So just average down and then buy back up. These guys actually, most of them don't even know that whatever is happening is what's happening. like they don't even know that this is going to be a market crash or whatnot, and they don't even care. Why would they waste their time? They're trained to sell, and when the selling stops, advise them to hold until the prices go up because they're going to make a lot of money. All they care about is the commission they're going to make. I'm just saying the truth, guys. This is the problem that we have. Anyhow, my friend was telling me um, that they tell stories in the office that about that being done back in 2008. Um, yeah, kind of like war stories. I love those stories, by the way. I spend hours upon hours watching documentaries and stuff like that about history and wars and stuff like that, and it's really interesting to and when you look at these things, like when you look at all of history and you sum it up all in like in a few hours, um, you get to understand man's nature a lot in a lot more weird way. Um, because if you don't know your past or if you don't know the history, there's no way you understand what the future could be like and what the present is like. You're just a gullible puppy in this world. Gotta know history. And Pantheon's saying to Jeffrey, yet people claim the DD is done. It isn't done until we sell. And that's absolutely 1000%. Um, we could lose this battle any given time, and until we decide that it's over, and then it's over. Um, and again, like, this is just great times. This is just great times. You guys seen in the beginning of the live stream, we talked about Ray Dalio. We talked about the FTDs and what's happening. Is this FTD covering, or is this short covering? And we talked all about that in the beginning of this live stream. And you guys know, hopefully, and whatever I was saying could make any sense to you guys. And again, I'm not a financial advisor, but if it did make any sense, then that I'm very, very glad to hear that. And we'll see where this will take us. Back when it sneezed in June, I was working at a guy's house that was a big wig at Wells Fargo. And he was so curious when he heard me talking with one of my workers about the stock rocketing up. Um, yeah, and that's the thing, Jeffrey. Most of these guys, like I said earlier, um, like my friend who owns that franchise, the Wings and Rings, um, majority of these guys, like, they have so much money, they don't have time to count or to invest that money. They just go to the places like the Ray Dalio's hedge funds, and put the money there and say, hey, or Citadel, and say, hey, take care of it, bring it back bigger next time, this time around next year, you know. And that's just how it works. But many of these guys now, like you just mentioned, are interested when they heard you speak. They're like, well, why do I pay these hefty cuts from my profits to these guys, even though they're making me money and it's a convenience? But I can be making so much even more than a mere 12% return or 10% return on my investment with this hedge fund. And I don't have a special window on when I can draw money, and there's also a special window on how much you can get out every year. So all these restrictions for what? I can just do all this on my own. I can make hundreds of percents or thousands of percents, and I better yet, I have the capital to also get in and do whatever I got to do. And as long as they obviously know what they're doing in the stock market. But if he saw, now again, when they see retail traders like us, well, in this case, Jeffrey, you're the guy you were working in his house. I'm not saying this is like what they view you as or whatnot, but they look at it as, look, this guy is an investor, but he's also working on my roof. I own, like you said, he's a big wig at Wells Fargo, or my friend at Wings and Rings. He owned hundreds of franchises. Obviously, the franchise is big. It's even global now. There's some locations in Jordan even. Um, and he's like, well, if he can do it and he runs his own roofing business, why can't I do it? And I feel like I'm bigger. I have a bigger business. I'm doing it bigger. Yeah. that percentage of 38% of people or retail traders have taken out their money out of the market in 2021 is a mixture of, I believe, it's a mixture of, it is true, a lot of people did pull out their money. They made money in 2021 and pulled it out. And a big percentage are just holding. The money is just sitting there in, um, you know, meme stocks and whatnot, or whatever stocks they want to invest in personally. And I think that percentage have increased in 2022. I won't lie. I personally think that, yeah, a lot of people did pull their money out because they just seen that this thing took on all of 2021. Nothing is happening. And a lot of people just said, you know what, heck with this, screw them. And they're just now engraved in the back of their head as, this is corruption. I will never trust the government or the stock market or anyone else for that matter. Um, Again, sad for that case to happen, because again, you got to be patient. Squeezes don't happen in 5 days or in 2 trading sessions. It takes a minute. You're basically taking money from the most influential people in the market, if not in the globe, uh, due to the fact that we are here in the US. Um, and you're trying to take it, and you think you're going to do a Robin Hood job. Well, I'm not referring to the trade platform. I'm referring to the actual Robin Hood. You think you're going to pull that on them and get away with in two sessions or in one trading session? Of course, they're going to pull every trick in the book. Of course, they're going to cheat. Of course, they're going to do all that stuff. And when the time is right and we don't fall for all these gimmicks, guess what? We skyrocket, they lose, and we make a statement that has never been made or done before. Ultimately, changing the ideology that you have to go to institutional hedge funds or certain banks to make financial decisions on life. You can do it on your own. You can trade on your own. You don't need to pay anybody a percentage off of cuts of what you make because they take your money, they put it all in a big reservoir with a bunch of other people's money, and they go and make that work. And that's how they get these bonuses and uh, you know, yacht parties and everything. And then at the end of the day, they're working with your money. They're not providing any of their own. They're working with your money. And then when the sky falls down, uh, they they're hands off. You lost your money because of this, and they get bailed out by the government, by the feds, and all that stuff. So it's a win-win situation for them. That's how they've been looking at it until we've came around now, and we're going to change that. Again, keep your eye on the Bill Hwang thing because, like I told you guys, he's beginning to snitch on people. He just ratted out Morgan Stanley, and I broke down the beginning of this stream. You guys remember what we talked about as far as him, um, not being the only one doing this in the market. It's a bunch of them that is doing that. And obviously now he's ratting them out and how they played him, how he became somebody who got played and how he played them back. Whether it's through the FUTU, it was a FU2, FUTO, FUTU stock. That's what he was over leveraged on. And he reached out to Morgan Stanley to get a bunch of stocks to cover, blocks to cover. He was already bleeding. And then instead, the people that I forgot the guy's name, but he went and told a bunch of other guys on the street and said, "Hey, such and such is about to do this. You know what to do." So they started buying up, knowing that if somebody's about to cover, the price is going to go up anyways. So they didn't want to miss out on the chance. Insider trading, right? And he knew who was it that started buying up and everything. Who basically crucified him. He knew it was them and how they played him. So he went and did the same thing with another stock that they were in. It was like an educational program, Chinese company program that they were over leveraged in. And he just went ahead and did the same exact thing to them and obliterated them back. Now they're fighting amongst their ranks. And next thing you know, we're going to be the major beneficiary of this. Again, don't tie all this Ray Dalio thing up and take it to the bank, guys, because at the end of the day, uh, something like Mudrick did back in 2021, the same thing. Came in, well, they didn't announce it, but they came in. When they made the announcement was afterwards. They came in, bought, not even long, a couple days, sold all of it, and then dropped a media coverage saying that this stock is not even worth $5, but we were willing to buy it at 24 or 26 and sell it at 28. The hypocrisy is real in this. Um, so yeah, he's a hedge fund manager, the most successful, the biggest hedge fund globally, that is, as far as I know. And money is the language they speak. He's not. I'm not going to sit here and consider him an ape or somebody that I'm holding with. But it's good to have him than not to have him. But don't tie yourselves up to him. We've been on our own this whole entire movement. We've been on our own, and we're going to finish, like I said, I think on our own, because that's just the way that it is going to be. Uh, these guys, like the Ray Dalios and whatnot, these guys are not going to be holding to no crazy four figures or high three figures or whatnot. Um, they don't need to. So don't tie yourselves and your investments with them, thinking that when this guy sells, I'm selling. Because I've seen a couple of creators that are out there pushing out, hey, when institutions are selling, that's when you need to sell. Um, like, seriously? Like, one, you're giving financial advice. Two, a terrible one. like I'm not going to touch on that, but I'll tell you this again, because I can't give any financial advice. I'm not an advisor. You guys all know this, but I'm just waking you up to the reality that you and then institutions are two different boats. These guys are loading up 5 million shares or 2 million shares or 500,000 shares. They don't need to wait for 3,000, 10,000, 100,000, or 50,000 a share. They can dump those things at $80, at $90, at $100, at $200, whatever. That's even a high expectation, as I'm saying, because you're talking about millions and millions of shares. But with all that being said, we still hold majority of the shares or majority of the floats of the float that's supposed to be coexistent, which means at the end of the day, when, like I said, started with us and is going to finish with us. We're going to be the last one standing in this whole thing. Tater Tot, how are you, my friend? The only four to listen to: AB, Fatty, Tony, Dinaro, and Messalorian. Well, that's three of those guys are guys that I watch and listen to as well. So I'm very honored. Obviously, I don't know what to say, Tater Tot, but I don't take compliments very well, honestly, and that's a flaw that I have in me. I just don't. I just feel like it's somewhat of a glorifying thing, and I always love to stay as humble as possible. So yeah, these are goats in the business as far as Pantheon, of course, uh, and Tony and Massalorian, of course. He asked me if I was going to sell, so because we never know when it's gonna lose its bottom, I didn't put two and two together until AMC Bigums did the whole ISDA stuff. Ah, okay. For the last couple of years, um, the Mets looking tough. I know Pantheon is excited about that. Didn't Kershaw play for the Dodgers at some point? FYI, I don't know. I think so. How long do we have to wait for AMC Squeeze? Weaver, welcome here. As long as it takes, my friend. You see it. You see it. We're closer to the end than the beginning. I can tell you that. But you'll see it. Tapped him mindset. Maybe you're a level 5 leader. Good to great book. Well, tapped him mindset. Again, I'm humbled. I don't obviously deserve any of that good talk, but I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Again, tapped in mindset. Is that the name of the channel? Is it tapped in mindset? I don't know if when I was passing through the comments, if you did say yes or no. Please just bear with AB once again, and please put it in the bottom so I can go and comment, or subscribe to it. Yeah, AB, I never keep contracts until expiration. Yeah, I mean, again, it's very rare that you keep a contract, obviously, until expiration, waiting for a hoo-ha. This happened with me in AMC back in March. Yeah, it was one of a kind. It was weird. It was with AMC, um, and it was out of the money. And he waited. I think it was like the price was somewhere around. I think it was like 890 or 878 or something like that. And I kept averaging down on it. And yeah, I never basically I do the same thing, Jeffrey. I never do it because obviously extrinsic value will be completely done by then. Uh, But no, the crazy part is it was like a YOLO moment for me, and I don't have those. I just rarely where I have a YOLO moment, but most of the times when I do have it, I just do it very briefly. It wasn't something that's gonna make or break. Um, and I held it through, and little that you knew, on that same Friday, AMC climbed up to 12. Um, it was like that 11 something, yeah, 11 something. So I sold them all in the money. It was a good 2400 or 2800 that was made from that, and I was like, wow. Uh, but obviously that was a luck call because, like I said, it was just a YOLO thing that I did on that moment. But yeah, good, good, good that you don't hold until expiration. Veronica Chase, uh, thank you. I, I just received the best smoothie ever. Mm. Berry blast. That's what I call it. It's like a bunch of berries, strawberries, berries, everything. I love that stuff. So true, AB. At the restaurant I've been working with 8 years, we had to go up on all our prices. We had to stop ordering Gatorade bottles, iced teas, and change all the food orders. Yeah, you have to get creative now. That's what I was telling you guys, that um, it is such a very hard thing. Like this whole thing, I personally wouldn't count it out that it was a trigger to trigger, like specifically to trigger every person or citizen that is trying to become their own independent employee, because companies, big conglomerates, were hurting from that, beginning to hurt from that mindset. Because right now, we planted the seed back in 2015, 2016, and conglomerates started feeling it. Now they need to weed this thing out and kill this idea before the next generation comes in and expect to not work for no company or nobody, just to work for themselves. Their dream is to work for themselves. They wanted to kill that, and right now that's what it's been doing. In 2020, shut down again. Just highlighting it for the people who just joined in, probably what AB is talking about. 2020 shut down, all businesses got shut, no income coming in, no problem. They gave out PPPs and SBAs, and they gave out stimuluses, not enough obviously, but they gave up money. And then when it opened back up, when the market opened back up, they continued paying the unemployment, which obviously made the whole population lazy to get up and go work. And again, in a way, I mean, I wouldn't blame them. If you were an employee and you were getting a chance to get paid more by sitting at home, would you do it or not? Forget the moral standing behind this. Whether you have morals or not, you should do it. Yeah, everybody would do it. It's a no brainer. You get access to more money. Doesn't matter how, and you're not also physically abusing yourself or working, standing up. Now you can provide to your family even more. So they purposefully hurt the small business once again, even after the shutdown. Now, with that, uh, continuing the money easing process that they were doing and paying people while they're sitting at home. Um, After that, they were like, well, there's no employment. We have an employment issue. We need to get employment back on their feet. Well, if you stop giving them free money, maybe they'll think about one or two things like that. Um, then they finally stopped. But when they stopped, they continued the money easing program, like with all the, like, what they were in the repo, reverse repo, pumping money in the market, making it seem like we're not coming off a year of shutdown and inflation. I mean, and the virus and all that stuff, and like we opened and we boomed, which makes zero sense. Who's gonna pay the tabs, the open tabs, on all these rents, leases, blah blah blah? It's very confusing. It got really confusing. It's still confusing. But better yet, now they finally stopped when it was too late, and now they're getting aggressive with hiking the rates. Yeah, because now they feel hawkish. What do you think that's doing to our small businesses? As I said earlier, everything is hurting. You got businesses like mine. Like I had to like literally put up my food items. I upped them up by $1, and every day it haunts me now. Like I've done it 2 weeks ago. I will show you guys. I'll send you a menu of Greek burrito, Greek burrito, um, and it haunts me until now still because I feel like I'm adding more money on people because I know the common citizen has to come and buy. It's not Ray Dalio or King Griffin that's coming down to buy from me. So and obviously he wouldn't have a problem with paying for it. But right now we're going through rough times, and inflation is just around the corner. We didn't even start yet. We didn't even see them unloading their balance sheet, the Feds, that is. It didn't even start yet. Like all the catastrophe that we're seeing on the market now, we didn't even reach the full potential of another, whether minor or major, rate hike. And for them to begin unloading their assets next month, as they said. Imagine when we get to that. That's why I kept saying from before, like around August, September. I think that's when we're gonna hit like that. Oh shit, we are screwed as people. Forget that government or the entities or whatever. As people, as the population, whatever you are. Of course, you're seeing the news about Sri Lanka and them being down to 1 day of fuel reserve. That's it. Furthermore, asking for more loans that makes no sense of how you going to like whoever's going to give them the money, which is obviously the IMF in this case, and if they do it, obviously they're not going to do nothing for free. Um, they're going to go and take their arm and a leg in return. But in the same time, who is going to give money when you really like you're asking for money and you know 100% that there's no way you'll pay back this money because you still owe money on other stuff. This is the world that we're going into now. Um, the strong is going to eat the weak. The big is going to swallow the little. Big companies and conglomerates. Remember a few weeks ago, I was telling you this is the time where you're going to start seeing big companies consume other smaller companies. They could be great companies, but you're going to see them being consumed by other companies, bigger ones. And that's to the benefit of the bigger company. Now it becomes one big entity. The smaller company can't last throughout these times and what's happening with the inflation, the cost on everything. So what are they going to do? They're not going to want to shut down, even though they have a great company. They will get acquired by a bigger guy like an Amazon, a Microsoft, an Apple, AMC, GME, Loop Ring. I always got to leave a few bones here and there for you guys to think on. Like, what? Well, where did that one come from? Um, yeah. So yeah. So now I have my employees, and like I said, I told you guys, I can't let any of them go. They rely on it, and they all are with me. Some of them are been with me for over 8 years, because their dream is also to open their own. Imagine when they see the person they idolize as far as what they want to do and how they want they're taking information from and kind of idolizing so that they can get to that level and perhaps even go higher on their own journey. If he folds, what do you think happens to them? What do you think their mind goes to? Well, I learned from his lesson. I'm never gonna tell my kids or myself or anyone to do this. Don't go open up your own business and be stupid because it's gonna be a catastrophe on you if it happens. Be worry free and be headache free. Just go work for a bigger company. Let the big dog eat. Kill the mindset of you branching out on your own and living on your own without the strings attached to the masters. That they don't want. Strings attached to the masters, the higher ups, that's definitely needed. So yes, Veronica, that is it's a movement, and obviously the biggest people that is going to hurt from this, obviously the small businesses. and we didn't see anything yet, look around you. Like I told you guys, I received a letter from my city in Cincinnati saying that local businesses are on their way to shut down. Small businesses, OTR. Here's a few ways we list on how you can help your favorite local business from being diminished or being exterminated. Um, and for those of you who wants to know why and how, well, it's because they literally explain this in words. Because we're coming off from a shutdown year off a virus, and then we just coming off of a very terrible winter. That is literally the explanation that they gave in that letter for you to understand what's happening to your favorite local small business. Um, Tapped in mindset. 2017, I was doing e-commerce. Nice. Hey, Pam. Pam the trader is in the house. How are you, my friend? Good to see you. Go AMC, go. Go. See, go AMC, go. Is it? Let's see, where are we at now? Okay. Okay, good. BBIG, normal. Okay, nothing too crazy, but very good. You got it, tapped in mindset. Thank you. No need to thank. Thank you. Let's see. Pantheon saying hi to Pam, which is the way it should be. I mean, obviously, we meet either here or on Pantheon Radio. Um, so it's cool to see two of my favorite people in one place. Um, I dial it in and tune the station. They talk about the US inflation, understand just a little no comprende. It's a riddle me on a Mexican Pantheon radio. I'm on a Mexican Pantheon radio. Pokes. Yeah, you can't be forgetting that stuff, Stacia. Every time you forget to hit that like button, I'm going to go ahead and get you coiled again. And I will reveal your you know, identity. So better not forget next time. Oh, so, okay. So he did play for the Dodgers. Thank you, Pantheon. Ah, okay. Yeah, he only played for the Dodgers. Okay. So he was definitely part of that crew that won, back in, what was it when we won the World Series? Back in, what wasn't it, 3 years ago, 2 years ago? Yeah, I think that's then. Thanks, Data Tot. Smash, smash. The big dog has arrived. What's up, everyone? Tell dog, how are you, my 424 friend? Luna, how are you doing? Hopefully, you're not causing more problems in the ether in the crypto realm. Leah the Lion, how's the MMA gym going along? Come on, I can't wait. Took people's social numbers off jail inmates. Yeah. Oh, dead people, etc. Blah 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 blah. A lot of them didn't even uh, open back up in Washington here in Washington D.C. Yeah, and here's the thing, Veronica, it's like that everywhere, 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 and we didn't see anything yet. So it's going to be interesting to see how what rock we lay on. Um, as far as for us, for our movement here, obviously make your thing, do your thing, see what you're going to look forward to, obviously in the near future. Um, and prepare for a good hibernation in these crazy times. Um, it's again like it when put it this way, when it's so terrible here in the US, imagine like to get a picture of what's going on out there outside the US, just multiply it by 2 or 3 or 4 depending on whatever country it is. uh, if it's terrible here, you best bet that Brazil or Venezuela is most likely already underwater. Venezuela is already underwater, unfortunately. um, but you talk about countries and even Europe or whatever, you're going to have France, England, all these countries are going to have terrible, terrible, terrible things. And watch for this. When it's like this, a big dog is going to want, it's going to be, war is going to be very flashy in those times. The bigger dogs are going to want, obviously, access to things from smaller countries, and they're going to raid them. I mean, what do you think is happening from the bear to to Ukraine? You think it's just about protecting the borders, as I said, or whatnot? There's a lot of assets. When when somebody goes hungry, they're gonna have to eat. In this case, it's so unfair because, like I said, the bigger dogs are gonna raid and they're gonna do what they need to do. And this has happened across mankind history since day one on this planet. Well, a little bit further after Adam and Eve time, but it's just always been like this. The stronger eats the weak. And unfortunately, like I said, in these times, things have to keep moving on. The only person that gets stepped on is the weak and the smaller entity. So you're going to have, if people like, countries like whether it's France or whatnot, they're going to have a lot of allies or a lot of colonies in Africa, which they already do anyways. You just got to educate yourself and see how and what, how each European country owns or operates an African nation. And also in the Middle East, and the same time in far east, in Western, sorry, not Western, Eastern Asia. And you're going to see the dogs over there going to consume each other. Like you're going to see China going in for Taiwan. You're going to see India going in, taking out Nepal, Bangladesh, these kind of countries around there. They're too small to be their own countries, and they can't survive on their own anyways. From what's coming and these times that are coming, they're going to reach out, obviously, just like Sri Lanka did to the IMF, um, and they're going to be looking so like low. Like those regions are going to be look so fruitful for these bigger guys because they're going to need to survive. The big guy needs to survive too. What's the only way that he could do it? By consuming the smaller one. Um, that's much bigger than you and I, guys. This is politics over there at that point, and we can speak as much we want against those things and equality, and no, this is wrong or whatnot. Guess what? As much as the whole entire globe is yelling about Ukraine, what is happening? The war is still going on, still doing their thing. No one is stopping nothing because in that league, when it gets that big, the bear, Russia versus India, China, USA, these conglomerates and these big, big, big uh, superpowers, it's there's little that can be done besides sanctions and things like that and of that sort. But again, it's all a game. It's called the beautiful game, and they all play it. And you and I are just characters in the game, but they're the ones who they create this game, and we got to go along. The smart ones are the ones that can, because at the end of the day, you don't live forever. We don't live forever, right? Um, Smart ones that can take advantage of what they can, or what they are afforded, or what they're, what comes their way. They seize that moment, take advantage of it, um, and get position themselves and their loved ones in a much stronger and better way so that they can, look good for the near future. Um, or better yet, for the future generations of their family to be in better standings, and with time, I guess, get to a participator and get to a position where you're the one who's actually part of the game making decision, not the game. And now at that point, honestly, for me personally speaking, uh, I never even want any of that or any of that stuff, because my interests are somewhere else. My interests are above the sky somewhere, and I don't want to be a part of that club when they meet the Most High. When those people that I'm talking about, and these governments and all these people making these games, when all these people go to meet their maker, which eventually we all are, um, that's the last club you want to be a part of. Maybe on Earth it sounds fun and happy, but there you don't want to be in that club. Uh, Everything was done illegally and wrong and everything, and they're gonna pay for it here and they're gonna pay for it up there. All right, my loved ones. I need AMC to squeeze first, then we can go further. um, Whimsy Chick, how are you, my friend? Holden, AB, GME, and AMC get to take care of my family uh, and close friends. Well, Veronica, I have no doubt that it should probably do so. Um, we don't know what happens tomorrow, but at least one thing I can tell you is that treasure every moment like it's your last. Um, you always will have your family and your close friends. Financials will come and go in life, so embrace that. So, my beautiful people, I said I was going to come in maybe for an hour, and look, you guys got us in here for 3 hours. Um, I'm not going to break yesterday's record probably ever again. 6 hours, 6 strong hours in one sitting. I literally felt like I was robbed, because I got out from there. It was like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. And I literally got on my laptop for a little bit. And next thing you know, it's like time to sleep. What? I felt robbed. No, literally, I felt robbed. I was like, what happened? I can't go out to get anything to eat. I ended up having to eat like fruits and stuff. So it was healthy, but yeah, never again. Um, so we'll see what's going to happen tomorrow, guys. Keep your eyes open. Hopefully, this was a very good live. You guys received a lot of info. Um, and once again, after I finish all these berries in this one, you guys have a great night and much love, AB Investments.